Hello, I'm Christian Luke, and this is my TED Talk persuasive speech. My speaker was Kate Raworth, and the title of her presentation was "A Healthy Economy Should Be Designed to Thrive, Not to Grow." She wanted to flip it around because usually you say you grow to thrive. But the purpose of the TED Talk was to inform and persuade the listeners to control their economy's growth instead of continuing to grow forever, and to actually thrive. Take a moment inside and actually just don't exceed too far, for that will cause damage. And she demonstrated with a donut design that she made. It was like a graph, and it showed that if you went too far, it created devastating damage to the earth and all that. It also showed if you went too short, it would be you'd fall into a hole of economy failure. But she didn't have any quantitative information in saying what was the cap GDP that the economy should have, or even the minimum. She didn't use specifics throughout the entire speech, and she didn't use a whole lot of facts. She just kind of made a ton of statements and just generalized a lot of stuff. She used emotion very well though, throughout the entire speech. She starts off with the speech talking about of how kids growing up as a metaphor towards her ideals about economy later on throughout the speech, which works very well of pulling in the audience onto a level of where she is on the same level as the audience. But it brings them in immediately and very effectively. And then she uses metaphors and a whole bunch of other stories throughout the entire speech. That's what the basis of her speech is made off of. But her credibility is that she is a Oxford economist. Other than that, she doesn't have a lot of credibility. She more relies on the stories and metaphors getting on the same level as the audience, as to have that trust that what she is saying is true throughout it. But she doesn't go into any further detail into her credibility after that throughout the entire speech. But other than that, she was very good with the emotional, but the organization just wasn't there. There were some good transitions throughout it. There were some times where I was just lost. She didn't have a strong thesis. Well, not really strong, but it wasn't that clear to follow. More like. But there was a good conclusion. It was quick and it was strong. But there, like I said, weren't a lot of clear points to follow through. There were a lot of stuff that I was just kind of lost on, just being taken through another metaphor or story, as you can call it. But she did pretty well on being relatable to the audience with her delivery, explaining out certain points so everyone could follow through very well, as in explaining stuff and giving examples. But so her delivery turned out great, and it made the speech very inviting and welcoming. And overall effectiveness of it, overall she did very well with using pathos and emotions to persuade the listener into her ideals about our economies. She didn't use a lot of facts though, like I said, but for the short time period that she had, she did great. So like I said, she didn't use a lot of facts, and she didn't give herself a lot of credibility. She used a lot of stories and metaphors around it. But other than that, I think it turned out to be a great TED Talk, and thank you. Hope you have a nice day.